Black rage is founded on 2/3 a person. Rapings and beatings and suffering that worsens. Black human packages tied up in strings. Black rage can come from all these kinds of things. Black rage is founded on blatant denial, squeezed economics, subsistence survival, deafening silence and social control. Black rage is founded on wounds in the soul.
So I just wanted to thank all of you ladies for coming out today to have this discussion. This is for pursuitofnappiness.org, and the real purpose behind it is to get women of different ages, different backgrounds, but in the same city, D.C., and see what their perspective is on the issues that we're going to talk about. It's important for us to open up the conversations with each other, because I feel like there's not enough dialogue between the generations or between sisters in general. So that's why we're here today, and I thank you all for coming out. And just so you know, Pursuit of Nappiness was created and designed to take the conscious mind on a journey towards loving, accepting, and having pride for your roots. So that's why we're all here. So I guess we can open up and start talking about what's in the news right now, and that's Ferguson and Mike Brown, which is a devastating situation where a young black male, 18 years old, unarmed, was shot by a police officer, was about to start college, and now his life is gone. And this isn't the first time we've seen something like this before. So how do you guys feel about it? You have any thoughts?
For me, personally, it really hit me. My eldest child is 19, so he was young enough to be my son. I'm tired of it. I'm tired of the excuses. I'm tired of people not being held accountable, laws not being changed that aren't working. We saw with even recently Eric Gardner how he was put in a chokehold, which is considered illegal, but they tried to claim that they did not put him in a chokehold, which was clearly visible in the videotape, so they can get away with it. It's ridiculous. We can't see what's going on, and we're not going to do anything about it, because in the past we really haven't, except march. So, and with marching, there's something with that, but we need to go further. We need to make sure this doesn't keep happening and that people are held accountable. Because they know they can do anything to us, and what are we going to do back?
Very true. Very true.
And with that, we need to educate people on how we can affect change, because there are a lot of people marching in the street and they're scared and they don't know what to do, and all they know is to march. So we need to find different ways that we can change the laws and go out there and educate our youth about what they can do.
I think what it is with this generation we see is people they're angry, they're tired, and everyone was very involved with the Trayvon Martin story and peaceful. And so now when it keeps happening, a lot of young people, they don't know how to react to that. In a lot of black communities, you see that, and what you have with that is what you see going on with Ferguson. But it just sends a message that black lives are not valued. There was a story, I forget what city, a white guy recently was waving a gun, and the police, were calling him suicidal, and they shot him in the arm. So he still lived, didn't die. And, you have this young man, Mike Brown, regardless of what he did or what they say he did, didn't have a weapon and had his hands up and was shot that many times from a close range. So that sends a message, and what that says to black people, especially black youth, is so powerful. And I think that's what we need to work on, is reversing what we see and how society treats us. How do we then, the black community, empower each other to know that we do matter?
It's interesting because I was on Facebook. I mean, we're the news, right? So I was like, let me see what's streaming today. And there was a story with a cop. I don't know the race of the cop, but the family's white. And I don't know what was happening, but the family dog ran out towards the cops. The cops were afraid. Cops shot the dog, killed the dog. The family was outraged. right? Because this, happened in front of, their daughter, which is really young. I don't know how young she was, but, she was young, and it really affected her. The neighborhood, the community was so they just could not believe that this cop had shot his dog. That, whatever, I don't know what they did, but whatever happened, the repercussions were that the cop lost his job.
Wow.
And I was like, well, isn't that interesting? I was
Just
like, a dog has more value than
in their eyes.
black boys and black men. Like, correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think any of these cops that are killing these boys, black boys and men, are they being fired? Like, I don't know.
No, absolutely not.
But a dog.
They still investigating.
Exactly.
And the investigations are still going on.
Well, police aren't here to protect the people, which is something that, a lot of us have, fed into the connotation of these, these guardians. They're here to protect the Capitol. And if you aren't a part of that image, which is, especially the younger generation of black men and black women, you're going to be probably killed in the line of action to protect whatever they feel needs protection. For me, what I see, and going back to what you said about this generational, the black youth being kind of, the ones on the forefront of needing education, this is an educational event that's happening right now, where you've had so many people who have bought into the facades that have been, put into their faces, appropriated as their images of who they are, and now they're seeing exactly what this world or this country thinks of them.
It's an awakening.
It's an awakening.
So
I feel like
too, not just black people. A lot of people are waking up to things we've known been going on. We just didn't have Facebook to put it on, or the internet to Instagram it. But it's
and a generational divide between, I was reading an article via Facebook as well, and there was an article talking about the generational divide between, you have these older people, the baby boomers, the parents, the older generation going out there and shaking hands with the police and talking with them. Some of the stories you don't hear, and telling the young people who are marching to go home, get out of the streets. But you have these people over here marching, this young generation marching, and they're being attacked, and if you think about the generational divide that's always happened, think about civil rights versus the black nationalists, the Black Panthers, who were the young ones, who were the older generations, and the divide that caused. This is another awakening into a similar cycle that we've already been through, and it's like, are we going to take the same route, or are we going to overstand this violent action that's happening, and get smart, get educated, get ready to react, not necessarily with anger, with going out there and testing these people who do not care about your life, but potentially, like you said, educating in a way that is actually productive, effective, and will actually create some type of change that we're looking for. You know what I mean?
And that's why we have to talk with each other within these generations. Because you do have the 60s, the civil rights movement, then you had in the 70s the Black Panthers, and then things began to die down in the late 70s, the late 80s. What was supposed to happen was it was supposed to be carried on. But because of crack and other things that they put in our communities, it destroyed and killed the movement. So in order for us to do this education,
all the infiltration they did to make sure our leaders pitted each other against each other. They did all that on purpose to destroy what we had building and growing in our momentum.
So we have to understand the unity, because I believe there are 4 steps that are supposed to help black people get to their liberation. And the one that we've been stuck on for the longest is unity. We haven't united. Whether you have these different organizations, like you said, that can't seem to come together and agree with each other on a common ground basis, which is, here I am with a group, even if I'm right here with a group of women, I'm going to put my personal need aside for the good, the greater good of this group, or my family, or my community, so that I can get the basics of what we all need, then I can really hone in and fix and do what I need to do personally. So the unity is what we really need to grab a hold of. And that's me saying, I hear what you're saying. Sometimes I may not agree, but what can we agree on? What is one thing that we see that we do need? And then I find it's also interesting, as you guys are saying this younger generation, my generation, who has this fight in them, and they're saying, we're not going to take it anymore. They're saying it in a corporate world and manner. We're not going to take your 9-to-5 jobs. It's not fitting us anymore. And now with this incident, like you all said, an awakening. And I've seen people, friends myself, become awakened to this institutionalized racism like never before. And I'm like, well, thank God, because I've been waiting. I've been waiting for you to get it. I've been waiting for you to hear it. You know, or conspiracies and all of these other things. No, these things are real. It's real. So we'll continue to educate. I will say I've been out there a few nights in D.C. with the protests, and I've seen a difference where people are focusing on education, or a lot of what they talked about was economics. So talking about protesting and not giving our money to certain businesses and things. So I do believe we're like right there, hitting it where we're using the knowledge, that we see that this stuff isn't going to work anymore. Where do we need to hit them? With their money.
And we do have the numbers. That's the power.
Completely.
Definitely.
We bring TV shows back on the game. That has never been done. We get them to recast the Aaliyah movie on Lifetime. Who does that? We have this power. We have this number. And people may say what they want to say about Twitter and Facebook, but we run Twitter. And we do have a voice there. And if we can use that as a way to join together, let it be. Everybody has their purpose. It might not be somebody's purpose to go out there and march.
That's
true. But we can't condemn them for doing that. Because that's what they need to do.
Everybody plays a part. Everybody, whatever it is, whether you're a foot soldier and you're in Ferguson now, or if you're, writing, helping to make the laws change, making sure people like local government, like Eugene Puryear, he's running for local government, and he's for the movement. And making sure our legislators, making sure our dollars go. September 8th, Black Monday.
Black Monday.
Things like that. Keeping conscious of what's going on and educating other people, so we all collectively make this move together. It'll be felt. It'll be felt even worldwide. Because they're displaying things like this in Israel and Turkey. They all know about Ferguson, and there's a lot of solidarity, because they're an oppressed people too. So they, it's about that. You feel it. It's deeper than color even.
It is so much.
So it's a collective, unity that we have in terms of, just feeling it. We've all kind of been through that. So
I'm actually excited about what's happening right now. Not necessarily the lives that be lost, but in the sense of war, there will be casualties. And no one dies in the sense of this, what's happening right now, without that legacy being fulfilled, with that idea of you that martyr, that thing that provoked something. And internationally, like you said, this has been going on in everywhere but America, in the sense of just like this type of unifying idea, this unifying movement. And I think that right now what this is doing is linking us, in a way that most people saw us as an ignorant country, as people who weren't conscious, as we like to think we are, as conscious who have no voice, and now they're seeing this reaction, which is through anger, which is through the tiredness and through just the exhaustion of this type of mental, psychological, physical, spiritual warfare. It's now awakening this kind of emotion in us that can link us to our brothers and sisters, our black and brown and all ranges of color, sisters and brothers from all over the world. It's speaking volumes. So
and that's something they've tried to kill in us and stop us from doing, because they know that's where our power lies.
That's what's going to happen.
In numbers.
In the numbers,
globally. They're afraid of that.
When the dogs bite, when the beat sings, when I'm feeling sad, I simply remember all these kinds of things